Good morning, everyone. I just wrote like a letter on my Facebook to everyone that was like really worded well. Actually, I just won't mind making this about reading that. First of all, I want to thank, you know, everyone who's been with me along the way. And basically, what my day looks like, I find myself recognizing that I need to be held by somebody every time, every step of the way. It's like all this world doesn't matter. It's a lonely place. And it matters because like everyone matters to love one another. It's hard to do. And to the families that I recognized, helped me. I was a reflection, like, the Filipinos, the Arabics, everybody that was there, loving me when, they had their own families to care about. Like that was an important thing to remember. And I don't feel like I was in tune with that just because I was constantly living in panic mode and all these different things, thoughtful and evil finding me, in which I was also aware that, hey, they witnessed that. They were looking at where I was and what was sitting there making it worse versus healing it and making something better. They're like, it's not going to be easy in your shoe. And like, I'm sorry for how I've gone through the journey just nonstop, but like a stoned person, so I can't, as in like by rocks of evil society. I did vent about how most of that came from the white community that had a certain way of being white supremacy, and I don't want to go into the details of that, but from the multicultural, communities, I've never seen actual harm. I've never been, and I got down yesterday. There was, it doesn't separate me from any one person or being a group. It's just in honesty of where I'm at in my journey, who is throwing the most stones, who is being the most dividing and evil. The diverse community has always been welcoming and always understood that the original place of being is that there were a lot of, my dad calls it out, a lot of these, Nazi-like characters that, I have a Jewish tattoo or I have, all these things, but those are later excuses, things that I turned to on my own by people just intensified that. Those things of being divided and conquered by those kids that came in to separate my brother and I, and they don't even bother staying in touch so that we can all have new memories while they basically grew up stealing that from me, and it's like cradle robbed, kind of a thing. Their families don't stop, and how the extension of one suffering gets copycatted. I go through that a lot. This thing keeps popping up, but the main purpose of this is to say thank you, and to the families who were aware of that is why I'm taken care of by other cultures and other things, is because they recognize what was happening to me. They recognize that it was undeserving. They recognize that I'm still growing up, and they recognize that I deserve love and not some idealistic thing that gets off of watching me suffer. And a lot of the community, oh my god, this thing keeps popping up and distracting me. A lot of the community identified with what was that, and the community here reflects the soul, or like what have you, and who's with you and who are you with, and they spread the word of love. And to me, I don't not stand with not any one person. The problem that happens is that if someone is taking care of one's life experience or not, which all that idealistic things we're doing were, just destroying what was already so destroyed, living off of oxygen. I don't need to go into detail, but I do love everyone, and they have a big heart. And I even talked to somebody who was Puerto Rican last night. Beside me, I was like, let me explain this. Like the families I grew up ransomed to were really sinister cutthroats, and they killed each other. They didn't care if they killed me. How did, and I want you to know that I care about you, and I love the culture, and I love the people, but I don't know how many of them. I told them about how, they would have these family reunions, and there would be like 500 people there, and that's literally like, they don't ever take me there because they don't want to get caught putting me off to the side or hurting me, so that the rest of them don't hurt each other because they're cutthroats, right? So it was intense stuff to like go like, this is really my reality. Well, to be free and to live outside of that has been a means to no end, because it's like, well, having nowhere to turn, and having that you have the full way to go to reach for someone who might care for you. Unfortunately, it's like pinhead stuff when I do, because I'm such a target. If I reach for someone, they don't really want me. They want my body, or they want something that I'm too delicate to give away, that I end up giving away because I found myself in that place or that position. Not that I even want to do that, and it's hard. It's hard for me to feel like I can trust somebody with my heart and have that space to come off all this evil with since ever. And then be in a place of, being either abstinent or self-pleasing and all these other crazy avenues. It's a mess. It's a mess. And I have a delicate heart with a delicate soul that just wants to find the one that's right for him. And when people present that, I hope they know how serious of a lover I am and how passionate of a person I am. And living in all these dark spaces, how much life bringing it is to finally be with somebody who says I can take that position and not use it as an identity to play a game, but to be serious and to be loving and to be kind. I feel like I'm drowning in all these idealistic people versus I have someone that's seriously taking a stand for me. I'm going, if you wanted to, you would be there, on one hand. On the other hand, it's like, well, you were there, but symbolically, it's like, get me out of that cycle too, because that's also not healthy. So let me read that letter that I wrote this morning concerning some of these things. It says, I was listening to Eden, and what my reflection there is, if this is church and we're talking, is that there's peace that I found early on in my journey when I was dying and feeling the sweat of death, and was like, that was all I knew for years prior to the happenings in Arizona. And by the time I got there, it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back is the next evil thing going on. And Hoover really did vamp off of that and made sure that would be my position. And a lot of people attacked me with what he attacked me with and want to use it as an excuse. But you. I says, but you have no idea my shoe that I'm walking with my heart. And what you are doing is making things worse or approaching it. When I'm outside of that, all these people, when they talk to me, they reach toward my crotch area, or they can't talk outside of buzzwording. And it's like, you're giving me hell for going through hell. You're lucky I'm not the person that would kick somebody's butt for something like that, because I'd be in prison already. I'm such a meek, mild spirit, and I get broken down, and the best I can do is cry out, say, why are you hurting me? It hurts so bad, it feels horrible. It's like, right there. I don't want to drown in that. That's not moving forward. That's not the forgiveness of the, entire thing that I had for somebody who wanted it that way anyway. You know what I'm saying? That's the bullshit part of it. That's the part that, the I knew originally, while all these other people coming into the topic really choose to use anything that wasn't attacked to attack me. I got Dopplers of Wendell all the time. I've got their sounds and their things that they hurt because of the longevity, okay? The longevity of getting a cocotazo, which is a lump under your ear. You know what I'm saying? On your head, because you get hit that hard to be made to forget the harm being done to you, and you're not going to. You wanted to vegetabilize me or kill me and call it. It's like David and Goliath. That man also threw rocks at my head and almost hit the neighbor. And it's like, that person's horrible. He would use the Bible as a means to create death, and so did my brother's foster parents. And people are always hurting me so that, you don't have to talk about it. Today's a new day. I says, how is it a new day if you copycat that everywhere I go? And that the longevity of years suffering through that any sound that person made, my heart would jump, and it still does. And so what I woke up saying, with that being where I sleep, is like, that I have every right to be angry with you, and you have every right to be ashamed, or somebody should handle you so that you can feel the reality that you're doing to me, which is complete harm. And that person does deserve harm because they're harming somebody. You're not going to tell me, but I'm a different person. I'm not that person. No, but you still understand the level of something that you are playing with, and you understand that it does hurt. And you can pretend to be nice while you do this wicked thing. I don't play that card no more. I don't accept that. What they take advantage of is that I have no space to close myself alone to heal. So as long as I'm out here broken, they're going to keep breaking me and breaking me. Why I want to go to my aunts. But let me read this letter to you. Thank him for me. I am grateful for everyone. Lights, Bo, Dad, Gus, Eden, Ellie, Tim, Patrick, Adam. One heck of a combo. Seriously, how I find myself lost in everything. Funny how I am reminded by your grace that it's okay to hold on to you. And I put Ellie's name to it. Tell everybody. On my way to find the sun back above me, Arizona, to love my family, to hold on to them, to find someone who will hold on to me, what I recognize is that's what's missing. And I can't go for that on my own turf. Without my own turf. If someone comes and they offend my family in my home or hurt me, I can tell my aunt will have somebody, hey, take care of that one. That's the upper hand there, that I didn't even realize I had. And I called upon old friends like Milk. Milk is more than welcome to hold me. You know what I'm saying? Milk is more than welcome because milk and I would have a good time. Milk can teach me, how to sell butter. I don't care what's out there. You know what I'm saying? How to do things that do life so that we can keep providing for our family. There's a grace and love of forgiveness of somebody who didn't give up on me. There's somebody that still wants to be a good friend. And I need to come off of being a mess. I need to come off of living with the sky above me because there's somebody to share time with. That's Gus. That's my dad. When I'm reaching for you, I'm like reaching for this quality time that just doesn't seem to exist anywhere. If I'm out in the world, it's everything standing there, taking my insides and presenting it to me. And it's not the good parts. It's only what's cried out bad. And they use it to sit there. Like, well, if we drive you miserable enough, you'll attach yourself to the next pair of legs or something. It's like, no, I need affection. I need someone to fall in love with. There is somebody here who's attractive, and differences to me don't matter. It just matters that if patience. If there's someone that has a lot of attraction in the room at the breakfast that I go to, who's really tall, really handsome, and there's, I hear a character quality difference that, we're opposites. That's someone who's lived a life of serious, but it's someone who's learned the language. Like, without going into detail, it's like, there's people that I would allow into that court, and if things last as long as they can, that's fine, but I'm on my way to Arizona. And if someone wants to move with me and on a journey and have vibes that they can present themselves to be the light for my life, then I would only want to do the same thing. What's the matter with why Tanner didn't work out is Tanner wanted to take the darkness and then mix it with, you cannot do that. If you're going to love someone, you cannot do that. That person knew he was playing Pinhead. I went broke at the Econo Lodge, was ready to give that to him because he gives me an apartment notes as good as, I'm like, well, here's this for that apartment that I don't know how to get on my own, that I'm not getting anything on my own because people know that I'm on my own, and that's what's being taken advantage of. And he totally knew that because he was also one of those people that took advantage of that I was on my own. You see what I'm saying? I don't want nothing to do with that guy. That guy had his chance. He knew the plate he walked up to. He thought gossip. He thought this. He thought that, and used it to hurt me. He didn't use it to love me. He just says, and then always rubbing it in. Chooses domestic violence. I forgive that, and I love him anyway. And by the time I go over to where he is, thinking it's going to go, because I paid his ticket out there, I'm not on social media because my phone gets stolen, so I have to make a new Facebook. His first interpretation is using everything or every happening to talk shit on me. Oh, Donovan's a creep was his buzzword. He always makes a new Facebook. To keep me away from him is the sense of that, but what he's doing is lying on my life. No, I'm someone with a genuine heart who you held and had to hold in the woods, thinking that nobody else is watching, and when you're going out into the world, what are you doing? You're lying. You have every right to freaking get shamed or fucked up, because that is one thing that when I went back to Port Townsend, I sat there through the rain, I sat there through the fucking snow, I sat there outside, outcasted from the shelter. I got beat up by gangs. I got reproached by these evil things that follow me out in the woods. I did not have a happy experience holding on to somebody. By the time I get out there, they're not looking at this person's actually giving a fuck. They're just looking at how to destroy me. That's why when Gus builds his life up as as a totem pole light thing for me to find and say, yeah, I love you, and then there's just a big joke that, somebody took him away, that he died or something. Did he, or is he alive? And if he died, my respects to your family, my respects to you. But here's the thing, this is why it's serious. There is nothing or any step that I've taken in my life that hasn't been serious or without heart. It's been all with heart, and it's not returned to me. Let me read on to this letter. Holding on since my dad, a rock in the world to be guided, trapped everywhere but held. The complex of trusting someone on my own is not good, obvi, but under my aunt's house, that side will be less scary because it's her turf. If anyone hurts me, she will take care of it. See, I am loved. I've confessed to the air that the law of attraction are the only ones who can get past go. That's Gus, that's my dad, that's an old friend we all call Milk. These are the holders of my fragile being. When I saw Gus, I saw heroes. I put a hero. To not let me walk the earth alone. I pray no matter what time will bring all of us together. I hope you will always have a plan for a brighter future. Now I'm talking to everybody here. Ellie, I feel this because I've been holding on to all the artists who were my space away from the hell that has been a constant for 26 years. The voices that have covered the years of being a gaping wound, literally, and who felt the wound open at times. That you felt and saw that how long I was this gaping wound, and how long this wound just keeps getting reopened and reopened and reopened and reopened on an everyday basis, and no one's there. They can copycat the person's voice, but they're not there for when that person that they're copycatting did harm, and for how long that harm went on. It's horrible. And you're the reason why everyone's like, why is he so special? Why is he this, that, on all these scoffing things I hear all the time when I'm walking. It's because I get tortured, and your scoff is just another form of torture. Your negative attitude is what destroys my life and my being that has yet to live. The point. There's so many mindful people, but there's so many unmindful people. I hope you always have a plan for a brighter future. Ellie, I feel this because I've been holding on to all the artists who were my space away from the hell, the voices that covered the years of being a gaping wound and who felt the wound open at times and still didn't give up on me. I won't give up on you. I pray my joy can be enough to fill your cup as you watch me pour these emotions in the future into song. I also confessed today that I would not put a stop to my strength ever again, to pour these emotions whether I am singing along or finding the room to pour my soul into a song. Yesterday I confessed the hell it is to see my lights attach themselves to my darkest times. That part was really hard for me because when I'm turning to you to be a light, I'm not looking at the reflections of the light inside me. I'm looking at you also mimic what was my darkness and attach light to it. You just can't have both. That's not good. That's not good for me. And I cried about that bad yesterday. I was like, man, I understand maybe your good intentions, but I've cried about that for a long time, for somebody to hear or deliver that message to you that ever don't do that to me again. Do not attach yourself to any bad happening or this or that. Translate the good only. I don't need my darkness frozen in a place where I turn to people for comfort and joy. That's sickening. That's just sick, and I will never be grateful for that. I don't think God does not argue with that. God says that's not how I would love you. God forgets something and puts it away and presents that new. When that flower dies or it gets moldy, it turns to earth and a new flower grows. That's like taking the mold of that flower and super gluing it into my skin and my bones instead of growing a new oil to put on my face that won't leave. You see what I'm saying? You became the mold doing that. So don't do that. The emotions, whether I'm singing along or finding the room to pour my soul into song. Yesterday I confessed the hell it is to see my lights attach themselves to my darkest times. Yet I still find a place to stand. And I do. And that forgiveness I have for you there it's there because you are that light no matter what. And I feel like you are deep friends and deep family. And it's deeper than that at times. And it's soul to soul stuff, that it's like you can't really bicker at yourself, can you? But at the same time, yes, you can guide each other to be a little bit more loving. And I feel like when I'm crying, I don't do that for you. So of course I want to find myself held so that you're not ripping your hairs out and fighting all these wars. So then that's just going to waste. I'm like, well, don't let that fuel you, to be angry. Just keep good intentions. I pray because you don't have to do anything. I know that you don't have to do anything. The fact that you are, it means the world to me, and it makes it worse when I see people wasting my life away when all these other lives are fighting for me. I'm like, they're wasting a good thing. I feel fucked up by that process. While I tumble out in the violent, dementoring world, the one to take my hand won't find me wanting to let go. Meaning, Gus, I see your hands when I see that, or the next person who has that attraction, when they feel that, they will feel that energy. I pray they be young and that the life for the time we can find that space is enjoyed as long as it is and can be, and young being within or around, not too high, not too low. I don't really have an age boundary, but I don't want to live a life unyoked. So again, law of attraction has to be that thing. The one to take my hand won't find me wanting to let go. I pray they be young, and I learned that is healthier for me. Be in my age group. It's you can keep living and grow beside one another and all that stuff. But why I never had a boundary is I always felt like maybe somebody learned lessons that I didn't, or maybe I felt like they had more wisdom than I could have in this world that I'm still trying to learn. And it's difficult for me to give myself to somebody who may be going through the life experiences I am, because if this stuff, like Josh, for example, he was in my age group. He was somebody that took that handle hold. But Lady Gaga scared him off, and he tells me a tarot card told him to throw me away. Then I'm at my mom's, and then all hell breaks loose. And I'm like, I can't return to him because he fills in the blanks versus allows himself to even talk to me about anything. And it's just like, had he answered the call, the reality is I would have been partnered with somebody. The reality is I would have been away from all that drama. The reality is I could have built my life having somebody to be motivated for, who would give that love back in return. Giving your life to somebody who wants to give that back in return but can't because they're just your mother and they're already a gaping wound. It's like feeding yourself into a black hole that you can't, Why I stayed beside her was I understand what hurts inside of her. I understand every bit of it, and I took care of every bit of it. But the problem is you become this statue and ragdoll to her aggression, and then there's no way in between. That's something people, when they talk, they're not looking at the bigger picture that actually goes on and persists, and it's a problem. And unfortunately, it's not a problem. In my shoes, I did my best to give her all I had for 5 years. I wish that would be longer. And being out in the world, my frustration with the world taking advantage of me from the all sides is I couldn't build my life to continue to do that for her, which is what I wanted. It's unfortunate. Okay, so there you go. I pray they will be young, that life for the time we can find that. And even going to my Aunt Rhonda's, if my mom comes down there, I'm great. I just pray she finds a calm space to put a guard over this, so she's not saying things out there that can get me killed. She did that in Yakima. Locura lady. Okay. That the life for the time we can find that space. And I understand, like, I've breached so many pathologies with her that, it's like the next time she has a relationship and she's not comfortable, that's fine for me because I know exactly what it is she's not comfortable with. I am not happy with that Kui character. The Kui character thought to, I go to see my mother on a holiday. I leave Fair Start to go to do that for the holiday weekend, and I end up not coming back because of Kui's plotfulness. And his family within the Salvation Army was working, and they knew how to derail that process too. They all knew each other. It was the bullshit. And they all slamballed me. Someone who's giving of their heart can't get past that part just to keep getting fucked up by cleverness. And it's true. And a lot of people were witnessing that. They were like, they were walking around stormtrooping, doing all of that, instead of doing the best thing, which was to keep encouraging me. They kept doing symbolic things that weren't helping me, whereas a one-on-one would have. And it did happen. Justin was one of those people that would say, nobody understands what you're going. Not everyone understands what you're going through, is what haunted me when he said that. I said, but there's a lot of people who think they do, and that's a problem. And that was a problem. And that's why I saw all this harm versus the relief. These families didn't want to get pinned down for it. My dad went and pinned them down for it. So you see everybody rebelling instead of coming together. And it's like, that's a problem. Because, yes, Kui did freeze me. I buy my mom's, uses his daughter as a cop-out. And all sorts of things. They just leave me out and frozen in the snow and have his nephew rob me. His nephew robbed me because his nephew never planned to get a down payment on no apartment. He planned to just keep taking and call me a dumbass behind my back. Motherfucker owes me. Okay, so there you go. I feel fucked up by that process. While I tumble out in the violent, dementoring world, the one to take my hand won't find me wanting to let go. I pray they be young. That the life for the time we can find that space is enjoyed as long as it is and can be without violence. Because that's the problem. I harm none and get fucked up every time. I have been chained by targeters. I have given my trust to who knew that domestic crime was plagued my existence in more ways than one for all these years. They are sick. They get my trust and then dementor me. That's how Hoover happened. Hoover knows that he embodied Kui. He has my brother's name. He drums like my dad. And then fucks my head up with buzzwords, baits me, drugs me, fucks my head up more, calls it squished, and then it is squished, but what scar did you just leave me with that you just totally fucked my head up with that I can't fucking undo because If it weren't for you fucking doing that shit, I wouldn't have something to cry about. You obviously did that fucking shit. You see what I'm saying? But I forgive it. Because it's the stupid game of, I can harm you, and if you have a problem, I can hurt you. I'm not gonna let that be the thing. I'm gonna say, fuck you, I love you more than you could ever fucking know, and I never fucking would do that to your dumbass. That's not me. That's you. And that's your bullshit game that divides and conquers where I'm gonna be next to move forward. And you sit there and chain me. I feel fucked up by that process while I tumble out in the violent, dementoring world. The one to take my hand won't find me wanting to let go. I pray they be young, and that the life for the time we can find that space, it is enjoyed as long as it is and can be without violence. I have been chained by targeters. I have been given my trust to who knew that domestic crime was plagued on my existence in more ways than one. They are sick, and they get my trust and dementia me and hurt me. I pray if an angel knows something, they speak not or reflect not the people of yesterday, that they simply, if they must buzzword, that they buzzword the spice of my life, that I have cling to the sound of birds, a chai tea latte from Starbucks, drawing birds, candlelight, warm baths, color, being silly, being still, eyes, fingers, resting the pain of the world away from every pain that has ever been. So much of that is true that the best happiness I can find is, here I am sucking on this mint, and let me try to feel for how the bus is moving, so I feel comes kind of a roller coaster ride or something. It's not life, and there's nothing in my cup that feels a cup that's been poured out for eternity if someone's not holding me through it. If someone's not being that person with me, because what you have is a life that's all over the place, not because you chose to be. I mentioned, when I left Wendell's abuse, the first thing I saw in the world was that I have a chance to follow my dreams and follow my goals and be somebody. That got fucking bullied and ripped away from me. Jobs got clever. Oh, we have to give him the internship, but we don't have to hire him, is what they all did. So why did I get 3 internships and no job? Because they knew they can throw me away like garbage. Stand on me and keep it that way for all eternity and think that that's just all they're fucking gonna be doing to me because of, while the next person can totally achieve that, can totally walk in and take my place, and they just do that as, but they won't admit it. It was a secret. But it wasn't a secret. When that got caught, now you have family wars and all these things, and it's like, yeah, I need to get away from all that. You wasted my life so you can label me whatever, and I never was anything that you could label me. You pull that shit off. Why is it that I have all these gifts and all these things and I can never use them? Because I'm chained to the cleverness of putting me down on the street so that eventually they can keep me alone long enough so that I would die by the next stupid thing. I'm not playing that game. I go to my aunts, one way or another. I'm going to find that fucking person that's going to love me, and if it's not Gus, it will be somebody. Oh, I have been chained by targeters. I have given because I'm not going to be unbalanced down there. That's for damn sure. I've been chained by targeters. I have given my trust to who knew that domestic crime was plagued my existence in more ways than one. And why I don't even want to turn anybody outside of the totem pole of who said I'll take that stand with you is because I don't want to give my life to somebody I can't fully trust or who can fully understand everything without me having to say anything. If I have to explain any one part of this, they're gonna look at me like, and I don't even want it to matter. I don't want to explain anything. I want to fall away from that and into the love of waking up in a day that you're loved, and that is what is making me so happy that they will know that and take care of that. The moment they get their own thing going on and it doesn't involve me, I'm always just kind of like on to the next thing. Like everything they see going on with the media or the TV talking becomes something that overwhelms them, and I'm off alone again. Even when it mattered the most. Josh was a primary example of that. Haven't really seen a relationship since, and trying with Tanner was you know how many gaps of years that was between him and that? Josh, nobody. About 8 years. That's terrible. Fucking terrible. I'm 26. Do the math. Okay, so it can be without violence. Blah 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 blah. I pray if any angel knows something, they speak, not reflect. Oh, there was that other one guy. But again, it was just another thing where it's like it chased them off. They didn't want to stick her. The spice of my life that I have clinged to, the sound of, and I don't go backwards. Sound of birds, a chai tea latte from Starbucks, drawing birds, candlelight, warm baths, blah blah. I read this because those are lights inside of me it feels like those are the only things left, and I breathe and I can't breathe. I go, what good is this life if you can't share it, right? If you can't enjoy it with somebody, You know, after my smile and affection, I pray for that intimate surrender. What you be freeing me from is holding on. Like, I've held on to my dad endlessly. I've held on to Gus endlessly. That same longevity of holding on my dad has just like transferred itself to Gus only because I realized that Gus took that place at some point. And I'm like, is he alive though? Am I being, and it was for that purpose of being given away to somebody, but I don't need it to be that somebody rubs it in that, yeah, you could have, but look at what we're doing. And it's just one big joke. Because if it's one big joke, then I have no respect for my dad or anybody at that point. If it's a joke, I have no respect for it. Being still, eyes, fingers, resting, the pain that, and here's the thing, I know it's not a joke. And that's just what the rest of the world would want to keep it as, a fucking joke and an unserious matter. You know what I'm saying? And that's where it's like Gus took that stand because Gus saw my place and my position. He goes, I see you. Like, I know how you feel, and so did a lot of the people in that community. But the problem is the answer isn't, if you had a choice today to save someone's life by being there for them, wouldn't you take that? I don't care in what form that would have been in, and to know that that person's getting ripped to shreds everywhere else. Hello? Is this thing on? I'm sure it has been the whole time. Yeah, leaving me fucked up like that's just not okay, so I pray that you will be there. Or somebody will be here eventually to be like, is this making sense enough to you that this is time for this conversation? Face to face with everyone, where you can all get me on Skype at the same time. Boom, everyone's talking. Well, let's be inclusive because everyone's, what's this person doing with it? Yeah, of course you're living your own life and trying to consider me. I know that. But what is inconsiderate is that I don't have a life to live and how much that runs me over without you. And that is inconsiderate. I need that to be taken seriously. Eyes, fingers, resting the pain of the world away, not after my body, after my smile and affection. I pray for that intimate, surreal feeling that you are finally here, hand in mind, tightly taking a stand to face these waves together. Leave our love for one another to be remembered. How that moves and fights not to fall apart when things fall apart. Being still and holding one another brings it all back to the start. Falling apart where I can fall back together. And then I put Gus's name. Thank you. Thank you, Gus's family, for hearing my voice out in the world and how this moved me. I'm always wandering and yearning not to wake up yearning and dying endlessly to self for others who can't love me the way I need to be. And that is perfectly said. With all this scoffing going around from the next room even, they try to become the loudest thing to interrupt the most intimate feelings and conversations. And this is the pain that ceases to jump my fucking adrenaline in my heart because they know that's what it accomplishes. I need away from the world and away from all these people causing me hell on a constant. It allows no room for stillness when I finally find it. They rob and rob and rob and rob until you hear this way of talking. There's no air coming in or out. What a shame. What a waste of a life. Somebody needs to go kick that guy's next door's ass because he knows what he's doing. Alright, I love you.